I'm Phil Hamilton, Precinct 7 Town Meeting Member and Chair of the Lexington Conservation Commission. This is an explanation of Article 10G, requesting authorization of Community Preservation Act funds to construct a universally accessible trail system compliant with the requirements of the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, along with other site improvements in the Willards Woods conservation area. Willards Woods is one of the largest conservation areas in Lexington and the most heavily used. Its features include woods, meadows, brooks, wetlands, a parking area, and over 3 miles of unpaved trails, part of which is a degraded former bike path running from North Street to Brent and Hathaway roads. This request is for the second stage of a 2-stage project to create a universally accessible trail system in a section of Willards Woods, and to upgrade and incorporate the former bike path into that system, and to improve the North Street parking area. The Conservation Commission is joined in this project by the Commission on Disability and the Greenways Corridor Committee. The first stage of the project, which included a land management plan and design and engineering for the accessible trail system, was approved by town meeting in 2019 and has been substantially completed. The design process involves site visits and several public meetings, including abutters and other stakeholders. The Conservation Commission approved the design and submitted it to the Community Preservation Committee, which approved the funding for the project. This slide shows the whole project. The North Street parking area is shown in blue, and the proposed accessible trail is shown in red. The project includes an upgrade to the North Street parking lot and entrance drive. The accessible trail begins there, crosses the picnic area, and descends to the large meadow. From there, it skirts the meadow, crosses the former bike path, and circles the pond, where a new wooden viewing platform will be constructed. The plan also includes making the bike path accessible for its entire length from North Street to Brent and Hathaway roads, and adding an ADA-compliant parking space at the Hathaway Road end. The next 4 slides show the project in more detail, beginning with the North Street parking lot. The surfaces of the entrance road and the lot will be upgraded, and the sight lines at North Street will be improved. 2 ADA-compliant parking spaces will be added for a total of 17 spaces. The accessible trail begins at the parking area. The next slide shows the route of the accessible trail through the picnic or camping area down to the meadow. The solid red line represents new trail. The dotted red line represents current trail that will be made accessible. And the black lines represent current trails that will remain open but are too steep to be made accessible. The accessible trail then continues along the edge of the meadow, following the route of the current path toward the bike path and the pond. This slide shows the accessible trail intersecting the bike path, passing the proposed wooden overlook platform, circling the pond over a new route, and rejoining the bike path. As I said, the bike path will be made universally accessible along its whole length from North Street to Brent and Hathaway roads. Finally, this slide shows the ADA-compliant parking space at the Hathaway Road end of the accessible trail. The trail is shown in brown. The parking space will be located in the right-of-way, but off the current pavement. The accessible trail, for the most part, follows already established paths in Willards Woods. It will provide over 1 mile of walkways that can be navigated by a person in a wheelchair, by a person with a walker, by a parent with a stroller, and by others whose mobility issues now make it very difficult or even impossible for them to enjoy most of the town's conservation lands. That concludes my explanation of the project. Unfortunately, compliance with the ADA is not cheap. Here is a breakdown of the estimated cost of the project. The cost reflects the significant changes necessary to bring walking paths into compliance with the standards of universal accessibility reflected in the requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act. The Conservation Commission is committed to making Lexington's conservation lands available to as many of our residents as want to enjoy them. It is seldom feasible to realistically offer our open space to those of limited mobility. We have made progress in that direction at Cotton Farm and at Parker Meadow. This article gives us an opportunity to do that on a larger scale, while at the same time adding much needed improvements to Lexington's most visited conservation area. I hope you will join me in supporting it. Thank you.